Recently, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, built and incorporated a city in Texas called Starbase. It is a company town to create housing for his employees, including those who work at SpaceX. Now, if you're somebody with a big ego, which you should have if you clicked on this video, you'll probably realize if Elon can do something, I should probably be able to do that too. And you will be right if you think that way, because today we're going to look at 3 easy steps in which you can also start your own town in the US. Step 1 is securing funds. We're in America, a capitalist society, and you will need a lot of money to do anything, including starting a town. And by a lot, I mean a lot. They're somewhere between 10 million and 100 million. Some of these costs include land acquisition, construction of infrastructure, and the cost of the incorporation process. So if you look in your wallet and only find a Starbucks gift card, then starting a town wouldn't be the most practical choice. If you have money, then that's great. But if not, you will have to convince the other rich people to give you some. Now, there are also public grants and bonds from agencies like HUD and EDA, which provides additional capital, but they require you meeting strict criteria and public approval, and are often not issued until the later stages of building your town. Basically, step 1 is about convincing someone or a lot of people to give you money. Moving on to step 2. Acquiring land. Now, you will need land to create a town. Shocking, I know. Unless your name is Mark Zuckerberg, in which case you would want to build your town in the metaverse. But anyways, the price of land varies depending on the region, and when choosing land, here's a few things to consider. It needs to be a big enough area to fit your population, businesses, parks, and anything else you want. Ideally, you would want to pick unincorporated land, basically land that isn't already part of a city. States often have rules about how close you can set up to another city. So no, you can't just make your town next to, let's say, Philadelphia, for example, and call it New Philadelphia. When it comes to purchasing land, there's also additional things to consider, such as zoning, environmental checks, and access to infrastructure. Zoning makes sure the land is used for development and not agriculture or conservation. Environmental checks deals with environmental issues. You don't want your dream town sitting on a nuclear wasteland or endangered animal habitats. And ideally, you would want your town to have good access to infrastructure by choosing a location that's close to things like highways, power grids, and water sources. Finally, and perhaps surprisingly, just having land is not enough. You need people. You gotta convince people to live there. Some company towns relocate workers or offer benefits to early residents, but however you convince them is up to you. Once you got the land and a small population, it's now to do some paperwork. Step 3 is incorporation and planning. Now, incorporation is kind of optional, as you don't really need to incorporate your town, but there are a few reasons why you might want to incorporate it. Incorporation gives the town's government, allows it to collect taxes, and the right to apply for state and federal grants. And also it makes the town its own legal entity, which means it's officially and legally its own town with its legally recognized name and boundaries. So when it comes to incorporation, each state has its own rules, but generally speaking, you need things like a minimum number of residents, formal petition signed by voters, and finally an incorporation election where people vote to form the municipality. Basically, the people have to agree that to incorporate the town. In some cases, you also need state or county approval, feasibility studies, and financial plans, showing that your town won't go bankrupt in the first week, basically. This is also the stage in which you need to define your town with a legal survey and map, where you decide which goes where, residential zones, commercial areas, parks, town halls, and a giant statue of yourself if you want. Also, you will need to plan the roads, the sewage system, the electricity, the internet, and the zoning. Some states require you to draft a municipal charter, which acts like your town's constitution. Once you have all of that, you're ready to ask the government to have your town incorporated. And if the government accepts your incorporation, then congratulations, your town is now legally a town. And finally, we have step 4. Setting up a government and social services. Now, here comes the fun part, running the town. Hold the first elections, make a council, swearing a mayor. You also need people to handle daily operations and public services, such as the police, the fire department, utilities, the roads, etc. And this is the point where budgets and taxes start to happen, as well as lawmaking. This is where things like welcome signs and websites are created. To grow your town, you'll likely need stuff like encouraging businesses and doing housing projects. Whatever happens next is really up to your imagination. Once your town is up and running, you are pretty successful. Now, starting a town is by no means an easy task. It takes vision, persistence, and a ridiculous amount of money. But if you manage to do it, it could be pretty rewarding. A place where you make the rules, build the future, and maybe name the streets after yourself. Well, that concludes our video, but do tell me in the comment section, if you have your own town, what would you name it, and what laws would you pass first? Would you ban pineapples on pizza or make statues of yourself like Saddam Hussein? Let me know, and I will see you in the next video.